Welcome to another mailbag episode of the Factual Feminist. I'm going to continue to respond to your perspicacious comments and questions. Commenter Nonia Rotman asks, can you point to any industry that systematically discriminates against women? Is there any proof of this discrimination? What I see in America are companies bending over backwards to accommodate women. There is no evidence that I can see of systematic discrimination against women. As I explained in my first video, the famous 23-cent gender pay gap is simply the difference between the average earnings of all men and women working full-time. And it doesn't take into account differences in occupation, positions, education, job tenure, hours worked per week. And when competent economists look at all these variables and consider them, the wage gap narrows to the point of vanishing. Now, am I saying there's no discrimination? There may be some, and there are some studies that are worth paying attention to. For example, there was a gender bias study recently carried out by some Yale researchers. They sent faculty at several leading universities a fictitious resume from a graduate student asking for a job, and they asked them to evaluate it. Now, the very same resume was rated more highly when a man's name was attached. What's more, the science faculty, and this included male and female faculty, they were more likely to want to mentor the person if his name was John rather than named Jennifer. And they offered a slightly higher salary to John. Now, is this proof of discrimination in the workplace? Maybe, but it's complicated because what people do in imaginary cases doesn't necessarily reflect what they do in real life. In 2009, the National Academy of Sciences did a study entitled Gender Differences at Critical Transitions in the Careers of Science, Engineering, and Mathematics faculty. And it looked at what people actually do in academic science, not what they say they would do, what they really do. Well, what did they find? When it comes to getting hired, promoted, and tenured in math, science, and engineering, women fare as well or better than men. Issues like gender equity in the workplace are complicated. They don't lend themselves to slogans, quick fixes, or sensational headlines. I agree with the questioner, Nonia Rotman, that there's no evidence of systematic discrimination. At the same time, I think there are probably workplaces where there is sexism, other workplaces where women enjoy favoritism. Okay, the next couple of comments will only make sense to you if you have watched my video on the new feminist biology program at the University of Wisconsin. A commenter says, quote, "Now my eyes are open. We need feminist electrical theory to avoid the bias of male and female plugs in the electronics industry." Well, that's a shocking idea. And don't tell it to the University of Wisconsin. They might take you up on it. A commenter named Ogramek asks, if the egg is actively resisting the sperm, does that mean that procreative sex is rape on the cellular level? Well, no, the egg does not resist the sperm. In fact, it actively encourages it. It's more like mutual attraction or even love at the cellular level. Now, several critical commenters urged readers not to take me seriously because I work at the Conservative American Enterprise Institute. Well, first of all, not everyone at AEI is conservative, and many, including myself, are political moderates and independents. So I urge everyone to visit the AEI website and look around and judge for themselves. But here's the thing. If you don't trust my scholarship because of where I work, that is not a reason to dismiss it. That's a reason to carefully review it. Now, when I see a piece of research that comes from a feminist center, I suspect that it may be biased, but I'm always careful to read it, evaluate it, check on the facts. And sometimes, not often, but sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised and I learn something. So I think the same should go for my critics. It's fine to approach what I say with skepticism, but you should also be open to the possibility of being pleasantly surprised and learning something. Well, that's the mailbag for this week. Please keep your questions coming. Subscribe to the channel for a new video every Monday. And thank you for following the Factual Feminist.